starring Lee Marvin.
You know, Wilkes, I could have swore that I told you to keep away from Pete here. He's the kind of guy who runs out on his friends.
I didn't run out, I just moved on.
Well, we're keeping an eye on you, pal. You see, Wilkes, around here, we kind of watch everybody. Now, if you want to get along, why, it'll help you to play ball, you know what I mean?
I pick my own friends. Roy, don't argue with him. Look, why don't you run along, huh, Sharpie?
Pete here used to be one of us. Now it turns out he's, Mr. Schneider's boy, huh? You know, in a shop like this, Wilkes, a kid could get hurt awful easy, you know? If you didn't listen to friendly advice. You know what I mean?
Look, why don't you leave him alone? I can take care of myself, Pete.
You can, huh? All right, fellas. Show him. So what do you say, kid, huh? Write you out a little policy? $5 a week and, you got no trouble.
Drop dead!
And that morning, I walked into a real piece of troubleshooting in Captain Gray's office.
It was a beating this time. You know, they're going to close that school if there's any more trouble of this kind.
Well, why does the principal keep those hoodlums around? The school would be a lot better off if they packed them onto a reformatory.
Well, you're probably right. This Ralph Snyder, the principal's a dedicated man. He straightened out a lot of potentially bad kids in his day.
Kids? These guys are 20 and 21.
These kids are different than they were 20, 25 years ago, Frank. Then a kid didn't get beaten up with a blackjack. Frank, this is the third beating we've heard about. How many other kids have been afraid to talk?
Gang rules. Somebody's starting early, learning how to put the squeeze on.
Sure, in a couple more years, these kids will be going after bigger game
Look,
like
you don't have to
businessmen.
convince me. Just tell me the kid's name and I'll get his story.
Roy Wilkes.
Thanks. I'd gone to school in this kind of a neighborhood, but we didn't use weapons to settle our arguments. I'd heard about Ralph Snyder, how he helped boys, and I made my way to his office.
Surely, Roy, you must know who hit you.
They came at me from behind.
Look, nobody could work your face over with a blackjack without seeing them.
But if I knew, I'd tell you.
Was it Nick Sharples? Nick's behind most of our trouble here. All the boys call him Sharpie. I haven't been able to help him too much.
Well, Wilkes? Was it Sharpie? What was he trying to do, scare you? Trying to get you to pay off what?
Look, officer, I don't want any trouble. I want to stay in this school. Now, will you leave me alone, please?
Okay, Wilkes, but you're making a big mistake.
You may go, Roy. A good boy. You've come a long way.
Mr. Snyder, I realize that you believe there's good in every boy, but the time has come to clamp down on Sharpie and the boys like him.
I've tried my best to change them. What bothers me is they leave school and just go on from bad to worse.
They don't want to learn a trade. They're just using the school to practice their little rackets until they graduate to the big time.
Maybe you're right, but I don't believe it. I try to reason with them, show them a better way of living. I even think I'm beginning to make some progress.
There is no reasoning with guys like Sharpie. You've got to stop them before they hurt you. Mr. Snyder, is it possible that blackjack was made right here in the school?
I never thought of that. Yes, I guess it's possible.
Maybe I better find out, huh? Talking to Sharpie was the first order of business. There was just a remote possibility he'd grown fond enough of that blackjack to hold on to it. A man from headquarters went over his place with a fine-tooth comb while I spent 2 hours trying to make him open up.
Oh, I don't know what. What do you want me to do? Draw you a diagram? Sergeant? I I still don't know what you're talking about. So why don't we all just kind of pick up our marbles and let me get out of here, huh?
Sit down.
Oh, yes, sirree, sir. If that's the way you want it.
That's the way I want it. Let's start all over again, Sharpie. The use of a blackjack is assault with a deadly weapon. That is a felony.
What blackjack? Look, I showed you my room.
Find anything, Frank?
No, he didn't find anything. And they turned it upside down, too. Aren't you satisfied?
No.
No, I'm not.
You know as well as I that I had nothing to do with little Roy Wilkes's pasting.
Unless we find a witness.
Why don't you hold him for investigation, Frank?
Hey, there's a bright idea. Yeah, why don't you do that? Why don't you pull me in, huh?
When I pull you in, sonny boy, we're gonna keep you for a long time.
Hey, look, Sergeant. I'm shaking like a leaf.
All right, you. Out!
I'm hip. Daddy.
Well, those other boys in that school will be more cooperative.
Yeah.
Hey, Sergeant. That's what you think.
Think that was smart, Frank? Letting him know what your next move's gonna be?
Sure. The quicker I can throw a scare into Sharpie, the quicker he'll panic. And he'll make a dumb move. And that's all I need is one dumb move. I hope to find Pete Marashi, one of Mr. Snyder's honor students, at the gas station where he worked part-time. But when I got there, he'd already left to pick up his girl. She worked in a music shop. I decided to take a chance on catching up with him there. Would you mind turning that thing off? Thanks. Did you see anything leading up to the beating? You know, Sharpie riding Wilkes, putting a squeeze on him.
I'm not sure I know what you mean, Lieutenant.
Putting a squeeze on him, extortion, bribery. You know what I'm talking about, Pete. Come on, you've been around.
Sure, but I don't see what that's got to do with somebody beating up Roy Wilkes. Besides, I already told you I wasn't there when it happened.
Anything but a direct answer, huh? You think that's fair to Mr. Snyder?
Look, you know what I think of Mr. Snyder. He's the greatest.
All right, then level with me. Did you ever see Sharpie using a blackjack?
No. Look, I used to run with Sharpie, but not anymore. Mr. Snyder, he talked some sense into me.
It's not squealing if that's what you're afraid of. It's giving testimony. Where would the police be if people were afraid to
Who
talk?
said I was afraid?
You don't have to explain to me, Pete. I've been scared before.
I'm not scared of anybody.
Hi, Pete, I'm ready.
This is Irene Hansen.
I'm Lieutenant Ballinger.
Lieutenant Ballinger.
The police department.
Police, is there anything wrong?
Well, Pete's not in any trouble, if that's what you mean.
No, that's nothing, Irene. Come on.
Oh, wait a minute. What is it, Lieutenant?
Well, Pete will tell you. He doesn't seem to like the law very much. So maybe you better ask him which side he's on. Mr. Snyder's or Sharpie's. Well, Pete, here's my card in case you want to reach me. Nice to meet you.
Sharpie again, huh?
That's right.
Can you help the police?
You mean squeal at them?
Well, I don't understand you. What is this crazy loyalty you've got? Loyalty to a little hoodlum like Sharpie.
It's not loyalty.
I don't care what you call it. Listen, Pete, you said you'd given all that stuff up when Mr. Snyder promised to help you get a scholarship. I think he's the one that deserves your loyalty.
Look, I have to live with those guys every day. I grew up with them. I know how they think.
Think like him and you'll act like him. Pete, you're going to get ahead, and I want to go with you. But not if you're wrong. If there's anything you can do to help the police, do it for both of us. Pete?
All right, I'll call him in the morning.
Early next morning, I reported for duty. The captain had already been filled in on my progress. Oh, heck of it.
Morning, Frank.
Boss?
Here, Pete Marashi wasn't too cooperative yesterday. Thought he and Snyder were so close.
He's still living by the code those kids go by, but he's a good kid, basically. He'll come around.
Mm-hmm. I know you want to get out that school, so go ahead, huh?
Right.
Hey, wait a minute. We haven't flipped for the coffee?
Oh, you call.
Heads. Oh, not again. You've been doing that to me all week.
What do you want?
Cops talked to you yet?
Last night.
You didn't tell them anything, then?
That's right.
We'll see that you don't. Who you calling?
My girl.
She's a good-looking chick.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Well, I just hate to see her get her face all messed up, you know?
If you ever go near her, I'll kill you.
Well, just play it my way and keep your mouth shut.
Look, Sharpie, I'm warning you.
And I'm warning you. Just keep your mouth shut, huh?
See you up in my office.
Yes, sir.
Joey, cover it for me.
Would you check this, sir?
Pete, I'm banking on you. You don't owe anything to the hoodlums in this school. Look how you've made good. You might have gone their way, but you didn't. I can't tell you how much it means to me every time a boy like you takes a step forward. The achievements of my students are the only measure of my success or failure here.
Please, sir, can I go back to my class now?
Is that all, Pete? Ever see it before, Sharpie? You don't scare me. Did you make that thing?
Could you prove it?
Put it back on my desk.
Put it back on my desk.
Oh, Mr. Schneider, you kill me. You know that?
Give me that.
Look, why don't you come over here and get it, huh? Come on.
Give me that.
Oh, no. Look, we were going to leave the police out of this, don't you remember?
You must be mad acting this way.
Right if you get work, Mr. Schneider, huh?
All right, somebody get an ambulance and be quick about it. Anybody see him fall? We questioned everyone at the school. 10 days later, we had investigated every angle of the case. But despite all our efforts, the coroner officially recorded Mr. Snyder's death as suicide.
Now they're criticizing Snyder's methods. They say he saw good in cases even when there wasn't any.
Yeah, listen to what this guy says. The principal committed suicide because he was unable to maintain proper discipline.
We're gonna have to close the books on this one, Frank.
Stay with it.
They've checked and rechecked every angle. The chief's satisfied.
But I'm not. Ralph Snyder was a fighter. He wouldn't commit suicide.
Frank, you handled the whole investigation. You talked to every one of those kids. Nobody saw a thing.
Well, maybe it's the same old story, huh? They're afraid?
Yeah. Or maybe Snyder had some other reason for throwing in the towel.
What? You mean illness? The autopsy proved that he was as sound as a dollar.
Frank, I know how you feel. But a police officer can't let his personal feelings...
My feelings have nothing to do with this. It's a murder case, and I want to find out about it.
Captain Gray. Sure, Eddie, let her have this stuff. We've been all over it. Okay. Mrs. Snyder wants to go through her husband's stuff at the school. Take home some personal things.
Sure. Maybe she can use some help, huh?
All right, Frank, go ahead.
A teacher's life, 30 years of it, and then to be called a failure, a suicide. But Ralph was not a failure.
Mrs. Snyder, please don't misunderstand me, but I have to be sure. Was your husband ever mentally ill under a psychiatrist's care?
Oh, no, never. We had a very happy life, a good marriage. But Don can't stay in college now. You see, Ralph's life insurance is new, and the...
A suicide clause.
Yes. But I'll never believe it was suicide.
And neither will I.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Good day. After my Mrs. Snyder, I'd figured the real answer was hidden somewhere among the boys at the school. And my only chance of finding it was to play one group against the other.
Look, is that all the cops got to do, waste time worrying about somebody beating up Wilkes?
The case is bigger than that now, Pete.
Mr. Snyder's dead. Why can't you leave him alone?
Supposing I were to tell you that I thought he was murdered.
Murdered?
Yeah. The end result of everything that's happened in that school. The use of a blackjack on Wilkes. That's assault with a deadly weapon, a felony. Now, supposing Snyder found out something, some evidence. He was going to come to us.
Mr. Snyder wasn't murdered.
You know that, huh? If you told me the truth in the first place about the Wilkes case, we'd have Sharpie in custody right now. Mr. Snyder might still be alive.
No, don't say that.
Sharpie will stop at nothing to protect himself. And if I'm right, Peter boy, you're in for trouble. You and everybody close to you, including Irene. Pete, I need your help. You're not a hood like Sharpie. Mr. Snyder showed you a better way. You owe him that much.
Look, I want to help you, but there's nothing I can do now.
Okay, Pete, you just take your time, huh? But, buddy boy, don't make it too long.
You can't see you anymore, Pete. You were wrong. Wrong from the start not to go to the police.
Irene, I told you 100 times I had a good reason for not calling Lieutenant Ballinger.
Well, I'm still waiting to hear it.
Look, here's a bus ticket. I want you to leave town. Go to Milwaukee for a few days, huh?
Milwaukee? Well, what for? What's happening?
I'll explain it to you when you come back. All I want you to do now is trust me.
Not unless you tell me what you're gonna do. Sharpie again, isn't it? He's still rolling your line.
No, he isn't. I'm through worrying about him. I just don't want anybody else to get hurt, that's all. Look, I promise you by the time you come back, that part of my life will be over for good. Please, tell me you'll go.
All right, Pete, if that's what you want, I'll go right after work. You better go, Pete. You're gonna be late for your night class.
Pete was afraid of something, but I didn't know what. Maybe he'd been threatened. He knew the danger in Sharpie. I worked until after dark trying to find Sharpie, but no luck. I wanted a tail put on him in case he was afraid of Pete, or something Pete knew. On my way back to M Squad, a call came through. And suddenly some pieces of the jigsaw puzzle began to fit together. Irene Hansen was in the county hospital, an assault and battery victim.
There were 3 or 4 of them that came into the shop. One of them grabbed my purse and the other one started hitting me. I got to a telephone. I don't remember anything until I woke up here.
Did you recognize any of them?
Mm-hmm. One of them grabbed my purse and looked in it to be sure there was a bus ticket. Pete had just given it to me. He wanted me to go visit my sister in Milwaukee for a few days.
Pete's been holding out on me from the very beginning, hasn't he?
He was afraid to call you because of me. I know that now. That's why he wanted me to get out of town.
Well, if he wanted you to be safe, why isn't he here with you now?
The hospital's been trying to contact him. He was due at school for a night class. If anything happens to him now...
Just leave the worrying to me.
Petey. You just would not listen to me when I told you not to go to the police now, would you?
Look, I didn't tell him anything.
Oh, come on, Pete. Joe, you saw you go and talk with the big lieutenant.
Look, I didn't tell him anything.
Maybe you didn't. But you were going to, weren't you, huh? Just as soon as your girl got out of town. Where was she headed, Joey? To Milwaukee.
Look, would you get that chick? If you hurt her, I'll kill you.
Oh, no, Pete. No, we wouldn't hurt her. We mussed her up a little bit, you know what I mean?
I was gonna level with you tonight. Let you have a chance to give yourself up. They're gonna get you, Sharpie. They're gonna get you for killing Mr. Snyder.
Oh, Pete, how you talk!
You were the last one to go in his office, and a few minutes later, he was dead. Grab her!
Hold it! I don't want him marked up. You know, if I could make one of these look like an accident once before, Peter, I ought to be able to do it again, huh? Come on, bring him over here. Hold it. Hold it. Somebody cut the power.
That's right, Sharpie. Somebody has cut the power.
All right, copper. Come on in and get me.
I'm gonna get you, Sharpie.
Come on, you big fat mouth, Lieutenant. Why don't you come in here and get me? How nice. Oh. All right, jump in. Don't just stand there. I said jump in. All right. All right.
Pete, I said no. I was coming to see you in the morning after Irene got out of town.
Yeah, I know. Call headquarters and tell them to send a squad.
Come on, yeah.
Chance behind your back here. All right, the rest of you guys get up along this table. Put your hands on it, keep your legs spread apart, and bang. Sharpie and his gang went to prison. Now the city is tearing down the slums. Soon, better housing in Chicago will help give better breaks to other boys growing up here.